Low Tide Boyz, a Swimrun podcast. I'm Chip.
And I'm Chris, and this is episode 51 of the show, what we're calling our year in review / fireside chat / what the future holds for the Low Tide Boyz.
Whoa.
Yeah, so no guests except for ourselves. And yeah, we're just gonna try to recap how the year went. It's been a crazy year, obviously. I think we can...
Goes without saying.
Yeah, let's just take COVID and just be like, yeah, that threw a huge wrench into everything, but we adapted. And this episode is kind of like
how we feel everything.
Yeah,
went,
a testament to gratitude for everyone listening
100%.
and also for just to let people know what we've been thinking about this stuff. I mean, this is new to us. You know, when we started the show, Chipper, like our goal was to try to help grow the sport in the U.S. and try to make it diverse and inclusive and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And we put it out there. And I think a year later, it's kind of crazy that, I mean, we're kind of doing what we said we were going to do.
I think so. And I think a lot of people do wonder about how did the Low Tide Boyz start?
Yeah.
And we've told the story a couple times in a few different places, but no one place. So we might as well just tell it right now. Seems like as good a time as any. So, Chris and I, we are neighbors. If you don't know this, we live like 2 miles away from each other.
Yes.
So we're regularly hanging out pre-COVID times, 4 to 5, 6 days a week, maybe not that much.
Yeah, I mean, definitely when we were training.
It's a lot.
It just makes it easy to have someone to run with, you know?
Yeah, and it's our kids get along, our partners get along, like everything's easy and works out well. So we hang out a lot. So we're sitting here in my garage where we tend to congregate sometimes, listening to an album and hanging out. And we had signed up already for Attila Catalina.
Yes.
So we're talking, this is almost about a year ago this time.
Yeah. By the time this airs, we'll already have come up with the concept and the meme account would have already been launched, which we'll get to that in a minute.
So I have another podcast that I do, so I already had all this podcast equipment, and it has been at my house because I hadn't been meeting up with my other podcast partner to record in person. We have been doing Zoom. So I had the stuff, and our friends were kind of asking, what's this Catalina about? What's a swim run? All the like beginner swim run 101 questions, like what's the tether? What's this? How do you do that? And we were talking, and we said we should just do like a 1 or 2 episodes just to send to our friends so that they can, so we don't have to explain ourselves over and over.
Yeah, I think that's where it started. And then it was like, we should just do a show. We saw there weren't any active swim run shows out there. We essentially were like, oh, this could actually be a lot of fun to just kind of put this out there. Pretty soon after, so while we're having this conversation, we're securing domain handles, all that stuff.
In tandem, as we're like, hey, this sounds like a cool idea. And then in the meantime, I just go to Gmail or whatever and fire up and sign up for a new account, buying domains and Instagram accounts and all that stuff.
Yeah, locking down Instagram, which someone beat us to, Low Tide Boyz, which is why we're the Low Tide Boyz with a Z on Instagram.
And then Chris had a brilliant idea about I mean, I don't think anyone can contest that. About, hey, why don't we make swimrun memes as a way to get listeners?
Yep. No one was. I mean, we didn't know of any active swimrun podcasts. Now we know that we weren't the first. Swimrun Podden from Sweden
had a good 2-year run.
Yeah, they had a little run there, and we're like, well, no one's making memes either. And one of our favorite meme accounts is ultra running memes, which if you don't follow that, you should. It's pretty funny if you do any sort of trail or ultra running. So we're like, oh, we should just do that for swimrun.
And then we started going about 1 million miles an hour because we were going.
I had a lot of pent up.
We had
memes
a lot of
to write.
Yeah, and so Chris and I would divide and conquer on memes. I mean, we were dropping 4 to 6 memes a day, and and so Chris and I do marketing professionally.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering why, I don't know, everything seems like a full court press,
or when
because
you search
it's like
when you search on Google and we pop up, it's because Chipper's a wizard.
So it's like it's just I guess we can't help ourselves. So we just went full in on it, and we're doing 6 to 8 memes a day.
Yeah, we toned that down, thank goodness.
We pulled back on that. That was a breakneck pace. But pretty much we kicked that off in January. The first week in January, we had our first guest. We had Kelly O'Mara from Triathlete Magazine, the editor-in-chief.
Yeah, she at that time she wasn't. So now she is, which we have to take all the credit for her getting that. You know, it was the publicity that she got for being on the first episode of Low Tide Boyz.
On the coattails of the Low Tide Boyz. It's okay. That's
cool. We're used to it by now.
So, yeah, and so when we did this, and I would say we were pretty blown away with the reception almost right away.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really didn't have any I didn't have any expectations, but it was just kind of crazy how just people started engaging instantly. Met a bunch of people from Sweden. People are really welcoming, and I've used this analogy before. It's like Swimrun is this big circus tent, and you got everyone inside. We kind of just like crashed through the roof, and then just started just being ridiculous.
Yeah, we came in out of like a cannon shot from another circus,
and landed.
And we
in
just
this one,
broke through the big top and landed right in. And I think by the time we got to Catalina Island, people weren't totally sure what we were about.
Yeah,
because we were how many episodes in? Let me see. I have
like
it.
7 or 8.
Okay, so 7 episodes. So February 27th was episode number 7.
Yeah,
and we were on Catalina Island at that point, and we didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, and people have heard that we're on the ferry, and people were coming up to us. Chemistry, Colleen, Libby, and Terry.
Yep.
Came up to us with their pink pool buoy and wanted to take a photo with us. We just thought that was completely ridiculous, and we loved it. So from then, we kind of felt like we did a bunch of interviews there. Jonas Colton came to our hotel to shoot.
Everything was
and we're
really
like, who is this guy? This guy's crazy.
Surreal. And we're walking around the island, and people are like, hey, Low Tide Boyz,
Right. We're also fully branded.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we go hard in the paint. We had hats on and sweatshirts.
Dare I say the only amateur team that was fully branded?
Yeah,
I don't even think the pros were branded.
We were the only one that outdid us on branding was Team Envol. They go hard as well.
They were,
which you got to respect that game.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. So we were there, and we met up, and Christopher, Helen, Dennis, everyone from the ARC team was just super welcoming to us and nice. I had rented a wetsuit to race in. Like Chris mentioned, we interviewed like 4 or 5 people. Team better tethered together with Aaron and Amber. Like that whole thing was crazy.
Yeah, that's episode 12, which is one of our most downloaded episodes. And if you need some sort of comedic relief, but also a heartwarming story of teamwork,
that's the one.
That's the one.
Yeah, it's a doozy.
Yeah. So long story short, so that trip was a success. We also finished the race, which is good. I felt like if we would have DNF'd, that would have been bad.
Hold on. I don't want to. So we have the podcast stream going. Then we also are the Low Tide Boyz, a couple of gentlemen
we're
endurance athletes.
Yeah, we're out there competing. We're not winning any. We're only winning the Miss Congeniality contest. Yes. But we're out there to just do the best we can and all that. And we finished the race, which was fun. But almost immediately after that is when kind of COVID hit, and after that trip, we're like, oh my goodness, like this is going to be so awesome. We're totally going to just like
we don't forget when we were leaving Catalina, we had met Adam Skolnick, and we thought there was a pretty good chance that we would be in this New York Times article, which was
I think so. I felt like I was like his source. Like we're at that party, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, that's this guy, that's that guy," and I just met him like 10 minutes before he showed up, basically. But
yeah, and I think we obviously knew a lot, or it felt like a lot at that time. 7 episodes in, and now we're 51 in. This being 51, and our knowledge has just exponentially increased about Swimrun.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, COVID definitely put in like a huge roadblock into what we thought. I mean, we were out there saying 2020 was going to be the year of Swimrun.
I think it very likely could have been.
I think so. I think Catalina brought a lot of buzz to the races in the U.S. But anyway, we had to pivot, and we're like, well, how do we keep people entertained? And I think we were trying to find. Well, let me say it this way. I think our goal was to try to do things that we thought would be interesting and that we hoped other people would find interesting, and not really try to like follow any rules. Like, we're just kind of doing what we wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I think if that's one thing that describes this show really well is like we kind of just do what we want to do, and we're not super worried about did we interview this, and we're doing it the way that we want to do it, which is probably a very particular way.
Yeah,
but it's just our way, and that's
yeah. So things like having, I mean, there's just so many stories of interviews that are memorable for different reasons. But you know, when I would tell someone like my spouse who's only interested in this as much as she's willing to sort of allow me to talk her head off about it. Yeah, I'm telling her, we interviewed Erica, who literally coined the name Swimrun, and it was like, she's this really awesome person, and she's just like, wow, that seems super random. I'm like, I know, but it was great. So just there was just a lot of shows like that.
Episode 22, Erica Rosenbaum.
Nice. There are a lot of shows like that where I think, I don't know, I just really enjoyed what we were trying to put out there, and it almost, I mean, it made it great that people were kind of being receptive to it.
Yeah, totally. And we do say every episode we're super stoked on, and that is totally true. But there is some definitely heartwarming ones. Now we're COVID hit. We definitely caught on our heels a little bit, and then sometime in late May, we got the chance to interview the Swimrun Labs, Annie and Brooke, who we had met at Catalina, who did the race
briefly,
as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think I remember really meeting them at Catalina.
Yeah, we met them super briefly. I think we spent more time chatting with Brent. But yeah, so we wanted to have him on the show. So we set it up, and we have what I think is one of our better interviews, partly because like the banter was going really great and we were learning stuff and everything. And yeah, like basically the second we got off the Zoom call and stopped recording and everything, like I just looked over to Chipper and I was like, oh yeah, you know how we were talking about doing that review show? We should do it with them. It'd be so much fun.
Right, because we had been talking about wanting to do some gear reviews, because basically the show is born out of a need, right? We found there's no real mass of like swimrun content on US swimrun content out there, so we started doing it. And then we saw, hey, there's not a lot of reviews around specific swimrun gear, so let's start doing that.
Yeah.
So we started doing those, and then we had the idea, let's just have Annie and Brooke on.
Get the female perspective.
Get them on. So then we started doing twice monthly gear review gear shows with them, and those have been great.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like, you know, to sort of echo what we were kind of seeing in the quote marketplace. I mean, you definitely had like folks like Herbert, who was on the show, Herbert Crable, who was on the show in August, and you know, Andy Hewitt, like these folks, Lars Fernarger, you know, these are the folks that were essentially trying to build it up, and way before, you know, they're the ones who were putting on races and talking about it before we were on the scene. But I think that we saw an opportunity to really help grow the sport in this way. And because we're just like overachievers or whatever, we just kind of just went hard in the paint for it.
Yeah. And yeah, so then, you know, we did a ton of interviews this year.
Yeah.
A bunch of stuff. So we ended up having the opportunity to race
twice
this year.
The only two swim runs that happen in the US, basically.
So obviously our planned schedule, I actually had 150-mile run and a 100K run on the books as well.
Yep.
Which there was actually no chance I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, the 50-miler, we're going to do it like No Man Left Behind.
That was going to be a grind, probably.
That was going to be like a Low Tide Boyz Productions kind of thing on land.
Yeah.
But yeah, you signed up for 100K. I don't know why. But I mean, I had my own ridiculousness going on.
Yeah, we all do this. It's not a secret.
true.
We all know our.
Yeah, someone was gonna come to Utah and pace me for stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right, huh? Yeah, and so we got to race, and we hit it off with the Odyssey team, which isn't a surprise.
Yeah,
and we had a great time at that race, and I felt we had been learning from Jan 1 to, November, whatever.
Yeah.
And we hadn't really had or let's call it the end of Catalina, because I think when Chris says things like, oh, we finished Catalina and immediately we knew we could do better, he doesn't have to check with me if that's how I feel. We're so synced on that stuff.
Well, I think my quote was something like, oh, next year we could definitely drop an hour. Not like, hey, if you want to do this next year, I don't know when it's going to happen, or if you want to check your schedule, if you want to check with Kristen or whatever. But if you're down for it, I really think we could just do way better. No, it was just like, all right, next year we're
next year when we do this, we're going to do it faster. And so I personally felt like from that point we were ready to it felt like we were ready to burst and just really launch out there. We were going to maybe do a race 2 or 3 weeks right after Catalina and on the East Coast. And then there was all the Odyssey races, but then COVID hit, and it really, it was weird for everybody, but for me, it just kind of felt like we were being held back, and we kept learning. In every episode, it would be like, we learned this, or we found this, or we're practicing a ton too.
Yeah, I think another way to think about it is after Catalina, our enthusiasm for Swimrun was at an all-time high.
So it was to 11.
It was to 11.
Yeah, it was at 11.
Sure, it was at 11, and it was just kind of pent up, kind of the whole year.
Totally.
But we sort of took that time to just try to learn as much. It's like any sport. There's so much to learn, so many nuances. And, I remember having Nicholas Ramirez on and him talking about the swimrun technique.
Yes.
And to me, that whole thing opened up sort of unlocked a lot of potential in sort of our teamwork and our race efforts and things like that, which, were on display later in the year. But there was a lot of experiences like that. Even when we were doing the Engadin race preview, course preview, what stuff that Daniel Hansen was talking about and Nicholas Ramirez again, it was kind of like, oh man, this is actually what it takes. This 3-hour swim run workout with nothing but hills straight into water.
But you're doing that every week.
Yeah.
For 6 weeks leading up, and that's nuts. How you be a fucking beast.
It really put it in perspective, kind of what it took to get to the next level. And I think it's like any sport, you do it, you love it. And then if you kind of get super stoked on it, you're looking for ways to improve. And we couldn't actually test any of this out except in training.
Yeah.
But we were definitely absorbing it. And I think the proof was when we managed to do Swimrun Austin last month.
Yep.
Early November,
it felt like everything clicked.
Yeah, it was like a culmination of everything that we've learned and internalized. And I think one of the reasons that happened, we're probably going to mention this a lot, it was just there was we just had so much gratitude for the support we were getting. From our listeners, from our fans, people reaching out. Every time we got an email with someone asking us what to do with their tether, I was just like,
this is crazy.
Oh my goodness.
This is so cool.
I'm just so stoked to be able to help someone. It's someone has a question and I actually know the answer, and we can help someone kind of get stoked on the sport. There was an experience in Austin, which I was completely mortified, where we were there for the pre-race meeting and we were late, fashionably late, I think. We got called out by Beacon Blake. But afterwards, we saw some of our friends and people started lining up to take pictures with us, which was just what is going on? People brought us a donut, Trista and Amy, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was just
giant donut,
which was
as big as a laptop.
The whole thing is just so surreal. And again, we just have so much gratitude for people not being like, hey, who are these two clowns just doing this random stuff, but actually seeing that we are actually trying to provide value. We're just, we take the sport really seriously. We just don't necessarily take ourselves seriously. And I'm glad that people kind of saw that.
And we take racing.
Yeah.
We take everything super serious. I think a really interesting thing that happened at Austin that I noticed is, and this goes to the community kind of aspect. So Andy Hewitt, we've kind of coined him as the godfather of swimrun, episode 13, all the way back to April.
Yeah.
Now, Andy was like the OG swimrun person from the United States. He's like the OG person that brought it over, and he made this sweatshirt with all these rules, and we talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
And when Chris and I did this race in 2017, California Swimrun,
yeah, 2017,
we got these hoodies and shirts, and there's 10 rules. Tell everyone you know about swimrun. 5 rules, whatever. And I haven't
10 rules for two hoodies.
Yeah, I haven't read the rule. I haven't read it in a while. But we had that on, and we've been wearing that consistently for 2 years. And when we got there, we gave Andy a shirt because he's been great to us, and we gave him a T-shirt. And he put our T-shirt on, and he took pictures with it on. And to me, that's a little bit of like, we switch positions a little bit, but he's like this really high symbol that he's all about swimrun, and he now kind of sees that we're the real deal, right? And we're not messing around.
Well,
and he wants to like put that forward as well.
Totally. I mean, and it's funny that you mentioned it that way, because I think for different people in the sport, you know, they're I mean, I feel like we've been accepted by everyone, but I think certain people were more like, all right, let's see this flame burn out real quick, right? Just like other podcasts or whatever. Yeah. But the fact that it didn't, because, you know, that's just kind of not our style. But I think we won a lot of people over who at first might have been a little bit suspect with us. I mean, to the point, I mean, I was telling you the other day, Chipper, you know, our friends Fanny and Desiree, both have been guests on the show. We're doing this Champions Christmas Challenge thing, and we're like one of the
exclusive gala
and luncheon if you're in the U.S. Made that joke like 4 times. I got to retire that one.
Yeah, it'll be done soon.
You know, we're listed as one of the sponsors, which is just so ridiculous. Like, we didn't know these people like 12 months ago, and now, you know, they can count on us, and we're, you know, giving T-shirts away or whatever. But it's just like, and not just that, like that sponsors list is, you know, Attila, Head Swimming, you know, all these brands, you know, it's just like, Jesus, it's so, it's the whole thing is so crazy to me. And again, I just can't escape the word gratitude for, you know, the opportunity. I mean, we've definitely, I think I can safely say we've been working super hard at this to try to do a good job and keep things interesting and try to keep everything fresh, including like deciding to have a 20-second song intro because we both think like the
it's a
rock
cool song
is insane. You know, stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know. It's been super cool to do this.
And I mean, I think it comes through, but like, we're having a ton of fun. It's fun to say like, who are we talking to this week, or who's coming out, and you know, when it's like, oh, when you find something that doesn't feel like it's draining your energy, like that's what you put, you know, you never work a day in your life if you're doing something you love. And this is the thing, like, I am actually would be scared to try to put a sum of hours that we've invested into this year. That number is probably frightening. Honestly, it doesn't feel like anything. Like, it doesn't feel like it was 5 minutes, you know, but it's probably hundreds of hours.
It was definitely, I mean, a lot of it was kind of like like we'll be in the pool and I'll stop you and be like, hey, what do you think about this?
We do that shit
or,
all the time.
you know, I'll be in the place where I write my memes and I'll just have to text or FaceTime Chipper real quick and be like, what do you think about this?
Yeah, he'll send me a bunch. I'm like, oh, these are good.
That place is the bathroom, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that on the Toto? I mean, we literally could thank everyone and we could go up 50 episodes.
So we're just going to say thank you, everyone.
So thank you for that. Honestly, I think it's really important that we want to call out our patrons as well. I mean, this is something, the support and everything that we've gotten from everyone is so unexpected, overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, and it's been cool. I mean, I can't wait for races to come back because it's going to be so much fun to kind of go out there and, you know, both apply what we've learned, but also, I mean, I loved hearing from people being like, hey, yeah, we like listened to your podcast and we're like super prepared for this race. I mean, to us, that's like mission accomplished.
Yeah, with even the last 500 yards with Bob.
Yeah.
At Austin, Texas, that moment.
Yeah. We're buddies on Strava
that
now, by
meant so much to us.
It
was like 15 seconds before I went ass over tea kettle. But yeah, it was fun.
Was it Chipper Baby Deer Legs, Nicodemus?
And I knew the second, my foot just caught it and it was a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. We
List
have
of patrons.
8 patrons.
Yeah.
Thank you kindly from everyone. If you were from day one, we'll start from the oldest all the way to the most recent. Andy Hewitt was our OG all the way back in February. Grace in May. Dirk joined us in June. Our great friend Carolyn, August. Max from
Germany,
joined in October. And then November, we had a three-peat. Marcus Barton joined us. Bob and Miguel, our friend from the Bay Area here. So really appreciate that. And that does go a long way. I mean, it costs money to host the podcast and to put the website up and to buy T-shirts and all this stuff, stickers, and us like doing crazy things like, oh, we're going to order 200 bumper stickers that say, ask me about my swim run feats of endurance. That my wife just told me today. She was at the store and someone was like, so tell me about this swim run thing. And she gave him
nice.
the whole spill.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well,
yeah, my wife is also trained on what to say when someone says, what's swim run?
They've had good coaching, good executive coaching. So, I mean, obviously the money on that just kind of goes to that kind of fun stuff. That, those bumper stickers, I think they probably cost like $150.
Yeah, and it's just like,
and,
it's almost, I think once we hit a critical mass on Patreon, we'll probably try to do something special within Patreon for our subscribers there. But yeah, I mean, it helps keeps, the quote unquote lights on and it's just really appreciated. Again, it's like, this is a labor of love. And we really, when other folks appreciate it and want to support it, to us, that just gives us a lot of energy and enthusiasm to keep doing it.
100%. Which
I think that, as we get to the end of the year and we're kind of looking back and looking forward, I mean, I love the journey we've been on. I think it's been it's been kind of random on some levels, but also like, the friends we've made, the connections we've made have been really fun. And looking forward to next year,
yes,
we already have some pretty amazing things lined up, which is just kind of nuts. Like, honestly, like, I've mentioned this to folks off the show before. It's like when we started the show, we're like, oh, do you think we could get this person on the show? Do you think we could interview this person? And now I honestly feel like I can ask anybody I want. Like anybody within the swimmer world, and be like, hey, do you want to be on the show? We want to talk about this. Like, I'm pretty sure.
Most people are down.
I think most people will be down. I mean, I haven't asked anyone who said no.
Everyone that is into swimrun is into like, you're just all about swimrun.
Yeah.
And so we're like, hey, we're all about it
and
too.
I think,
so let's
and
talk.
I think, yeah, and it's a testament to the community. I mean, the reason that our approach works and our sort of special banter seems to resonate with people, I think it's basically the type of person that gravitates to swimrun. They're like our people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, obviously you have faster and slower people or whatever, but that's not even what it's about. It's about sort of being in nature and having this experience. And if that's what kind of, melts your butter, then I feel like we're already buddies.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So the future, Chris.
The future.
2021.
Yeah.
We have a vaccine rolling out in the United States right now to, frontline workers.
Yeah.
So that's probably not going to be widespread until, let's say, the summer. So there's opportunity for racing, but a lot is still up in the air at this time in late 2020. So Catalina has been moved to November, the week before Thanksgiving. I am going to say that put us down for that one.
Yeah.
Now, we are partnered with Odyssey, as we mentioned earlier.
Yep.
So we are part of that kind of agreement is we're going to do as many races as we can.
Yeah, it's possible. So yeah, we're going to be producing content for them, course previews. We definitely want to do more of those. We want to continue to tell interesting stories
about the community members and teams and different
for
things
sure.
like that.
We're going to do something pretty cool in February. This was Chipper's idea, which is awesome. We're going to do a partners month where we're just going to do the whole month, just, not because it's Valentine's Day or whatever. Is that in February?
I think so. Wow.
Oh, damn.
We're like getting.
Oh, no.
Hold on.
Can you just
we're
bleep
scrub
that
this. We got to scrub this.
Well, February anyway, we are going to basically be interviewing partners and sort of try to delve down like what makes good partnerships, what's worked, what hasn't worked, how have you resolved conflict, like all the things that I think could help people be better partners. Like that's what we're going to try to do that much. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, we have, February is exciting. March, there's a lot of things in the pipeline that are we're really stoked on.
Should we say it or should we not?
Are we allowed to?
I think we could say some of it.
I think we could say.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So, the All the Way documentary about George and Pontus and the Attila World Championship is coming out.
In March.
So we're going to be all over that because,
like the Low Tide Boyz on Swimrun.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that?
Yeah. And then, we're going to be doing our own swimrun adventures and trying to, if races don't come back, we have some ideas of trying to do like the Attila distance over a couple days or something like that and just mimic the leg lengths. Just random stuff like that.
There's 4 Odyssey races that, best case we're racing those 4. We're racing Catalina again, so that's 5. I would love to do Swimrun North Carolina this year, Swimrun Lake. We could easily come up with 12 swimruns that we would want to do. I just don't know if that's realistically possible.
Yeah, I don't know if my wife and probably my daughter probably be pissed too. She's old enough to get pissed.
Our children probably would not be too happy.
But we're going to do what we can. We definitely want to be out there in some capacity, even if it's there's a Low Tide boy there to just like ham it up and do something. But yeah, I think we're really looking forward to next year. And if I have to say it one more time, we're just really grateful for everyone that's been listening, giving us feedback, which we love.
Just the random emails of just like, hey, you guys are doing great. I found this. Thanks for the tip on the buoy or the whatever. Like that stuff's great.
So good.
Yeah, just people sending their feedback in via email, a nice DM on Instagram or commenting on Strava. The Strava group is something that like we didn't even plan doing and we kicked that off and now we have like 150 people in the Strava club that are pretty cool community. Adrian's in there a lot talking about the different races and everything. And it's just, that kind of stuff is so cool. And I'm really wanting to see and meet as many people as we can in person because I feel like this whole year we've been doing relationship building.
Yeah.
Virtually.
That's one of the reasons why Austin was so cool too. Not just because we got to race and had a great race, but because we actually got to put like, faces to names and stuff.
And handles.
Pretty fun. Yeah.
Everyone's handle. I'm like, are you the so-and-so?
26.
Yeah. 26. Nice. So I guess that's all our fire.
That's it.
Should we stoke the fire?
Like,
it's all raging.
Yeah. So I guess one last thank you for everyone for listening, for sticking with us this first year, for and listening to this inaugural Fireside Chat year in review. We had a ton of fun.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to next year with optimism, and hopefully we'll be able to all enjoy nature and do some swim runs and stuff.
For sure. Thank you for listening to the Low Tide Boyz, a Swimrun podcast. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review on iTunes if you're so inclined.
You can also sign up for a newsletter at lowtideboyz.com. That's boys with a Z. And check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boyz on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, drop us an email at lowtideboyz@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Writing Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swimrun activities, hobbies, and other bullshit we do.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
And then a run.
And then another swim.
Then another run.
and then another swim.
And then run to the finish line. And just keep going until you're done.
Yes, or
until
run
you
to
cross the finish line.
or run to the car
Or run to your car.
somewhere. Just keep running.
Peace.